What's the most bone-chilling thing a loved one has said to you? When my son looked me in the eye and said, yes, it shattered my entire existence. When I was 20, my high school girlfriend got pregnant. We were just kids ourselves, but I was determined to man up and do right by her and our child. We got married and had a son together. The first few years were incredibly difficult financially and emotionally, but we made it work. I dropped out of college and took any job I could to provide for my new family. I often worked multiple part-time gigs just to scrape by. But coming home to my son's smiling face made all the hardship worth it. He was the light of my life. Sadly, after about 8 years of marriage, I caught my wife cheating. As painful as it was, I filed for divorce. I was awarded 50-50 custody of our son, who was about 7 at the time. Having him half the week helped me push through that devastating heartbreak. Being a single, working dad wasn't easy, but I was committed to giving my son the best childhood possible despite the circumstances. Every moment I had him, I devoted myself fully to him, playing catch, baking cookies, camping in the backyard, visiting museums. Money was perpetually tight, but we made magical memories nonetheless. His beaming smile and toddler laughter were priceless to me. He'd often spend weekends with my parents too while I worked, and they adored him as well. Things were going fairly smoothly until my son turned about 11. That's when his mother started dating a new man who was quite wealthy and would shower her and my son with fancy trips, expensive gifts, and extravagant activities. Understandably, my modest home and schedule couldn't compete with decadent vacations and non-stop entertainment. My son began requesting to stay with his mom more and more, until he was only coming over maybe one weekend a month. This stung deeply, but I tried to be understanding. I knew preteens are swayed by material things and fun experiences. But I missed my buddy terribly and sensed him pulling away. My calls to ask about his life went unreturned for longer periods. After about 9 months of this distance growing between us, my son stopped coming to stay with me altogether. No more weekends, no more phone calls, just a chat. My heart shattered. I spent months pleading with him and his mother to see me, to no avail. In desperation, my family helped me hire a lawyer to sue for parental alienation. But the judge ruled against me, even ordering me to pay more child support to my ex, despite losing access to my child. Then out of the blue, my ex's lawyer approached me with an unbelievable offer. He would make the child support payment stop if I voluntarily terminated my parental rights. I was stunned and hesitant at first. But they arranged for me to speak privately with my son, with both lawyers present, to determine if this was really what he wanted. When I asked if he wanted me to give up being his dad, he looked me right in the eyes and said yes. No emotion, no hesitation, as if I was a stranger asking for directions, not his father of over a decade. It gutted me. But I went through with signing away my rights since it was clearly his wish. My whole world felt crushed. In the painful months that followed, my son never reached out to me or my family again. Not so much as a text or birthday card. The total abandonment sent me into a spiral of severe depression and alcohol abuse. I nearly drank myself to death before getting sober, with great difficulty. After intense therapy and treatment, I was finally able to move forward with my life, though that profound hurt lingered in my soul. I relocated back to my hometown and rebuilt, new job, new healthy habits, even finishing my degree. After some years had passed, I met an incredible woman who helped me believe in love again. She had an 11-year-old son who also needed a father figure. I was very cautious interacting with him initially, given my past trauma around parenting. But this boy, Alex, truly was a gift. His warmth and spirit melted my hardened heart. We bonded deeply and soon became inseparable. When Alex turned 18, he asked me to officially adopt him since his own dad had disappeared when he was 5. It was one of the most emotional and proudest moments of my life. On paper, I finally had the son I'd lost all those years ago. In the following years, my wife and I had 2 more children of our own. My career also took off, allowing me to provide the stable, loving home I always dreamed of giving my kids. I became a devoted father of 3, making up for missed time. Out of the blue, when my oldest biological son was 26, he showed up at my door calling me dad and wanting to reconnect like no time had passed. I shut the door in his face, refusing to let him shake the family I'd rebuilt. After much convincing from my sister, I reluctantly agreed to meet with him just once in a public place. I simply explained I cannot resume a relationship, then politely wished him well and left. Surprisingly, I felt only indifference seeing the stranger. In that moment, I realized I had finally made peace with that trauma from so long ago. The door was closed for good. Perhaps in time, limited contact with my younger kids could occur, but reopening my past wounds is not an option. Protecting my wife and children's well-being comes first. My sister thanked me for the closure I gave my estranged son, and I surprisingly felt free of the bitterness I once carried. There is power in moving forward and breaking cycles.